You should be.
I turned that on, by the way.
So that's what it's gonna look like, small ones.
Deputy Grove. Oh, there you go, yeah.
Well, there's
That's a lot.
to break up. It's
What we want to do is make sure these two people are in it,
Yeah.
which is what Eric does for the
He's
board
in
meeting.
class, so
And
there's nothing down.
it doesn't need to be back by the fireplace, so I
You
like
can get rid
that.
of it.
Well, we got a speaker here too.
Yeah.
So, we're always trying to catch that speaker.
That was the reason I
Yeah.
put it back here.
Perfect. Thank you for your IT expertise.
I am no IT professional. I just play one on TV.
And you stated holiday.
I was gonna say holiday.
That's my line anyway. I was speaking.
Yeah.
Quickly. 12,650 feet up in the Rockies.
We came back on these, because you can go off the cliff there. Nothing.
At Stony Pass? Yeah.
I've seen pictures of people pouring those down.
Right below is the mine shaft where there's water dribbling out that they say is the headwaters of the Rio Grande River. And it was snowing, and there was snowbank 50 feet from us. And 45 minutes later, 2,000 feet down, it was 72 degrees. Beautiful. You ready to go?
This one, Mr. Coder is not doing this.
No,
I know.
flying around here.
I know. And we've had a,
We sprayed for them.
yeah.
He was here last time.
What's the same one? I think it was the same one that visited us last Thursday upstairs.
Every meeting you had.
Oh, we had it last Thursday night in the food services too.
Yeah.
Where was I? Gnats are real bad. There's nothing to do.
I would say gnats, but these bugs are just crazy.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. Mr. Cundiff is excused. He is out of town traveling. Unexpectedly, actually. I guess he was out all last week and thought he was going to be back, and they sent him back to the great state of Illinois. And maybe he's going to teach them how to close out a football game and actually beat Nebraska the next time or something. Hey, what can I say? So, moving on. You want to go ahead and cover the numbers since?
Sure. Capital fund total $187,080. Depreciation fund total $93,955. Special assessment account road or the dam account is total of $319,780. Delinquencies, if you'll notice, monthly went way down, but that was because Peg Burton paid up. So she is no longer a delinquent, which is a great thing. Glad for her. She's having some problems. Road delinquencies went down for the same reason. And that's what I have.
Cool. Reserve fund accounts.
Yeah, I got that. I passed that out to you.
What are you recommending?
We've already paid these. We caught up everything in February, with the exception of the amenities.
Okay.
Yeah. What's in black, there were amounts to transfer. What's in black is what's been paid.
Okay, how much money you got left for the month?
I don't know.
But you paid everything you did.
Yeah.
And we do have August results to go into.
Yep. Let's go back to that.
Okay. Everyone should have a copy of the August operating analysis in front of them. I have another copy, Scott, if you would like.
Thank you.
For the month of August, we actually were pretty close to budget on revenue. We were just off 15,000 in total on revenue from our budget, mostly due to lodge income. We're real close on new member fees have been running real close, and we were actually up on assessments a little bit from our budget. Expense-wise, the biggest thing there is subcontractors. We had 86,000 budgeted. That's MotoPave. We have not paid that yet, I believe.
Right, we have not.
So that is an expense coming. So it's not like we forego that. It's actually is coming at some point.
We're contesting. We're contesting the total of the bill.
Payroll on expenses, the other thing, it was up, we were actually up 10.8 over our, budget. My guess is a lot of that's overtime, during, labor, that's partial Labor Day weekend. I guess Labor Day was 31st first, so it's partial, but, I think we were short-staffed too and had overtime. So budget benefits have been running high all year, so we'll have to factor that in when we do the budget. So something to note, I want to talk about it at the end. If you do quick numbers on lodge revenue versus lodge food and beverage, you'll see it's 92%. So that's something we've got to address, is the cost of our food and beverage compared to our revenue. It's 92%, it's not going to work. Any questions on the month? Okay, August year to date, so this would be 8 months. We're actually up in our revenue from what we budgeted, $33,000. I think some of that's people paying ahead, some of it's better collections than what we anticipated. New member fee, ridiculously close to our budget. It's pretty good budgeting right there.
Yeah.
I have to say
Good
that.
job.
It's been staying strong all year. And that's only half of the new member fee, because that's the piece, the operating piece that the club gets to keep. So restaurant income is obviously down, so that's the majority of being under our total revenue for budgeted revenue by 114. Expenses, again, subcontractors were way off on our budget due to the moto pay. Again, remind people that will get paid here at some point when we get an agreement on the bill. So in total for the year, we are $33,000 under payroll, budget on payroll, $18,000 over on our payroll taxes, which my guess is it's probably all health insurance costs.
Claim,
With
yeah.
because the rest of payroll taxes are a function of just straight percentage.
Right.
So for the year to date, we're actually super close to our budget. Net income wise, we budgeted 157,000 or 152,000. We're at 157, so we're holding our own. Just note we have to pay that motor pay bill yet, and run that through. So
Well, the deal on that bill, they gave us a quote ahead of time, and jump in if I'm off anywhere here. And then when they got here, we approved a little bit of an upcharge to fix the problem in front of the mail house over here. So we knew it was gonna be a little bit more. Well, when the bill came in, it was twice again that much more. And there really isn't any justification. They can't really justify it.
Well, they cut $1,500, that's all they'll do. I talked to Ryan Packard the other day, and he says we're 60 days out on that bill.
Yeah.
And wants it paid, so they won't come down, guys, I know they won't.
They're not coming down at all?
No, not at all. So,
yeah, they should have had us do a change order for that
right.
Any increase over and above the original estimate.
Well, I think they gave you a verbal quote on some for the extra in front of the mail house, didn't they?
No, they did not.
Oh.
They never talked to me about that at all.
They said the problem was when they started motor paving, after they passed in front of the post office, once they started, they had to come back another day and start again.
Well, that was
And that's
because of
when
the
they
rain.
Huh?
Was that because of the rain, or?
No, because, it was the end of the day and they had to start again, so they had to backtrack and they lost time, so,
But again,
So is that our fault?
no.
No.
Well, I don't know whose fault that is.
Well, I mean, they knew what they were doing and what they were gonna
Yeah.
pay. They should have not factored that in when they started.
How much over the estimate?
$9,000.
$9,000.
Why don't we go back to them and just propose we'll split it? we'll pay an extra 4,500, they'll cut
So
4,500.
what did you say about the 1,500?
They took 1,500.
They took 1,500 off that 9,000.
Tell them they get another
Oh, they
3.
didn't tell me that. I didn't know I wasn't aware of that.
He said they dropped 1,500, so it'd be 1,500 less. So,
Okay, but the original overage was $9,000.
right.
Well, how about we go back and see if they'll split the $9,000 with us,
Yeah.
and we'll
See if they'll
get it behind
You're
us.
halfway there at 15.
You have got Ryan Hagger's number, don't you?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright. Let's try that. Because we want to get that paid so that,
Right, right,
you know, plus we don't want to be past due, because
right.
we don't like people past due with us.
No, I want to keep a good relationship with
Right.
Shelley. They've done a good job with us before, and they understand change orders, and you gotta have approval. So, yeah,
I'm sure they wouldn't try that with the state of Ohio.
they could try it. Wouldn't get them very far, but did we want to talk a little bit about lodge operations, or kick that to the end?
Let's
Just
kick it to the end.
financial wise.
I haven't really, other than looking at the number on that.
I did not dive into it, other than the top level number. So it's just 124,000 is a little steep to the choke down. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Well, while we brought it up, I mean, the food services committees had 2 meetings. The second meeting I wasn't at, Dan pretty much chaired it. A couple of the members of the committee that couldn't make the first one were at the second one. At least one of them has considerable background and has already kind of started making some suggestions, which we have to kind of water or get together with everybody and work on. Hopefully next Tuesday's meeting, we'll have all of the cast of characters there at the same time, which would be John Blankenship along, because he couldn't make it last week either. And one of the things Dan did was kind of separate the group a little bit, having subcommittees within the committee. Why don't you guys work on events and that sort of thing? And a couple others are working on staffing and menu or whatever. But hopefully we get some feedback very quickly on events to try to drive sales, because the last few months especially, we've been extremely understaffed, so payroll's been way down, so, which means total expenses should be way down. I don't have that in front of me, you guys, I think they are down, but
Yeah.
they're not selling enough, they don't have enough business to even pay the reduced expenses.
your expenses are down, but your revenue's down. I mean,
I know.
your date 75,000.
And so the key is we've got to figure out a way to get more people in the seats up there.
Yeah, we gotta get our food costs down, 92%, whatever reason why, that's, no restaurant can operate at that, and that's extremely high. We've got to figure out a way to get either a better sourcing of our food, or figure out why is it so high?
He's been working on that. In fact, he's changed the sourcing since he took over.
Right.
And he's dove very deep into the cost of each of the items on the menu. The latest, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, the latest menu, a few of the prices went up because his food cost was approaching 50% of the total, which is too high. I think they want it down around 35 to 40.
I mean, ideally down in the 35,
Yeah.
But most of it is.
We throwing a lot of food away.
We've had a couple of instances where we had to. One was when the
Power went out. But
well, the last one was, there was the Calcutta night, there was a exaggerated number given to him for people that were gonna be here. They prepared food for, I don't know the number, so I'm not gonna say. And considerably less people showed up, and it was a buffet type deal, and there's really no way to reuse that once you put it out on a buffet. So they had some there, but that's not the whole thing.
no, can't be. I mean,
No.
not at 92% of sales.
No, but it was
Several $100s the last time, and
it was 3,000 at the, when the
Yeah.
power went out.
somewhere around 3,000.
Because they had to empty out the whole walk-in cooler.
Okay.
Um,
No. But yeah,
Thank you.
Oh, or you were just swatting at a fly? Okay. Yeah, but we're gonna have to be careful about that.
Jim, I mean, could you explain that 92%? It was 92% of our expenses were food?
no, 92% of our revenue.
Was food cost?
Take the sheet, the year-to-date sheet that Scott has in front of you.
Yeah.
And just take the total food and beverage cost of, I think it's circled.
What line item are
It
you
was a
looking at?
month today.
550.
Okay, look at the month.
788.
Yeah, I wrote 92% in there. It's $30,000 in expenses for food in the month, and we had sales of 32.6.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
It's,
Undershaw. And didn't sell it all. So that is part of it.
I thought that we threw that food out at the end of June.
But they bought it, the replacement food in July.
This
No, this is August.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance.
I'm not trying to nitpick.
No, that one's not.
There's something awry in
That
our
one
food
didn't
cost to
affect
be that
And
high.
it should be 30%? Is that the kind of the goal, 30, 35?
I think most restaurants try to run under.
What we're talking about, the 30%, what we're talking about is an incremental meal that is served. We would like to have maybe 30, 35% of it be food cost,
Okay, yeah,
an X
waste,
percentage for
waste.
labor, and then the rest.
sure.
Because if we're at 92, we don't have any hardly left for labor, so we're going in the hole every time we're serving food.
That's right.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, you're 30%, then you have to account for some waste, and typically, I think restaurants try to be under 50% with, waste and spoilage, or spoilage, well, just waste. There's always some waste in cooking, but that's something something seems off with 90%, so that's why I bring it up.
Thank you.
So,
Does it have a percentage, Jim, of the clubhouse versus what they pay for the food versus what?
yeah, it's there. You just gotta take, well, maybe that's part of it. Is that all? Maybe I didn't factor in the
I believe it is. But
clubhouse.
Clubhouse should be, oh, no, you factored all the,
Yeah.
all food
Yeah,
against the
Then I
revenue.
could be able to get it off
you have
there.
the income on both of them.
I can't use my phone for a recalculate it.
There.
Just take 32,621 plus 21,404. You gotta go to the detail to get just
21
lodge.
plus 32,621 plus
21,404.
Basically like 50.
54,025.
50,000.
4,025. So divide 30,119 by 54,025.
60%. 54,025. 56%.
Still high, but better.
Okay, all you math guys, just.
Got better people.
50 or 60%.
He has the calculator.
It's still high, it's still high.
It's 60.
It's high, but it's not 92.
It's not 92, I misspoke then. I wasn't factoring in the clubhouse sales.
That's still not where we want.
Right. I wasn't trying to.
No.
It's a good question.
Yeah. That's a hell of a lot better, but still 15 points from where, or 15 to 20 points from where we want to be.
If you're pricing at 30%, then you're probably getting 20% waste, or 25% wasted, which is high.
Yeah. I will give him credit for one thing. He's done a lot with the menu to where stuff he is mainline tonight. Well, not tonight because they're not open tonight, but like prime rib, what's left over, he then does other stuff with the next night or the night after that. And
Prime
so-
rib sandwiches.
Right, and he's trying not to throw stuff out, but there's always gonna be some.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have enough people sitting in the seats ordering it, then, your lettuce and that sort of stuff hits an age and it's gone. Okay, any other questions on that?
No.
Jim, you got any questions on that?
No.
Okay, just wanna make sure. You weren't swatting at a fly.
Swat clock.
Okay, news and notes, OLCA meeting notes.
OLCA meeting was pretty good this time. Usually the first day is a little bit boring because we have the John Jolly, who's the executive counsel for the organization. He took Rick Levinsky's place, and all of you that knew Rick Levinsky, he was quite a character and made things a lot more interesting. But Well, what we talked about in that was restrictive documents, and I think we've talked about that before here. And the things we're doing correctly. And so that was the gist of it. I mean, people were asking, what can we show members? What can't we show members? Can we share executive board meetings? And of course, the answer is no. And so, and then they talked about enforcement of rules, and they talked about fines against members, and basically everything they talked about, we're pretty much right in line of doing things correctly. So that was interesting, and that was kind of relieving that we are following the guidelines that are set forth by us. The second session that day was invasive species. For instance, about our lakes. Pine Lake, who's our sister lake right across 33, had a big bloom of a thing called hydrilla. It doesn't happen very often. It's very uncommon. They have some down in the Ohio River. It's hard to get rid of. They have no idea how they got it, but they've got a big infestation of this stuff. And it's a plant, it's a water plant, and they're working with Aqueduct right now on trying to figure out a way to get rid of it. But they have no idea how they got it. It can come in on other boats. If they have driven through it and chopped it up and it's gotten on their boats. But I mean, they don't have any of that over there. They've got a 17-acre lake, that's all they have. They have no idea how it came. They're thinking maybe it was from bird droppings, possibly. But anyway, they've got a problem over there. They're working with it.
So they don't have boats on their lake?
They have canoes, kayaks, rowboats,
Okay.
fishing boats.
It's more like what
Yeah.
would be on Eagle Claw or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do they have a boat ramp?
I don't even know if they have a boat ramp or not. I'm not sure. I've only been over there once or twice. The Thursday was a good session. We had talked about goose and nuisance wildlife control, and the lady from ODNR didn't show up. But the general manager up there, who's also the president of the organization, gave a really good talk on what they do. They do a roundup. There's several lakes do a roundup every year. During the molting season, when they can't fly, it's the latter part of June, first part of August, or first part of July. Well, they'll just round them up, put them in cages, and take them someplace else. Well, the places they were taking them no longer allow them to do that.
Yeah.
And so they got a permit to just kill them. And so we asked how they do that. Do they shoot them or what? And they just take them out back and take the axe and chop their head off. So we asked them, well, okay, I mean, this was the whole session. Ask them, okay, what do you do with the geese? And they say, well, some of them they'll take and fix. But most of them, they'll either throw them and put them in trash bags and throw them in the dumpster, or just throw them in the dumpster. And ODNR is okay with that.
I have a solution for our food problem.
Yeah, there you go.
I was thinking the social committee could do a goose, breast grilling thing down here.
But they can take as many, at one point,
Not eating geese.
yeah, at one point, they were rounding up 900 to 1,000 geese and moving them elsewhere.
How do you round up geese?
Not.
Well, when they can't fly.
What they can't fly, so they take the boats out on the lake and they move them toward the land. They've got a place, there's people that stand out there and they herd them into these fenced-in areas. And then they'll just go in there and grab them and put them in and then do whatever they have to with them. They put them in pickup trucks, in cages and pickup trucks, and then transport them elsewhere. And ODNR is okay with that. Now, I told them that we're only allowed to take 30.
Was there any ODNR people there saying that they
No,
were
but
okay with
they
it?
have been allowed to do that
Wow.
per ODNR. And then there's one of the other associations can only take 25, which is strange to me. I don't know why, but anyway, that was interesting. They talked about lasers, trying to get them to go away. They said green laser lights are better than red, but anyway, that helps. But that was a good session. We had another session on business relationships by a guy that was a retired school superintendent, and he was just outstanding. He was so funny. Everybody just loved this guy. And then the last session was on blue-green algae and microsystem testing and that type of thing, which is what we have been doing, or what we have done this year. And our counts are very, very low. We don't have the problem that a lot of these lakes do. And so, but it was a good, it was a good conference this year.
Did we get our test results back?
Yeah, it was just as low as the other ones for equal claw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could we publish that, please?
Well,
That was a microcystation.
yeah, microcystin.
We didn't do any full.
The blue-green.
The blue-green algae,
Blue-green,
yeah. I was trying to get a comparison on
The numbers.
the numbers on how, what we had compared to what's bad. And they didn't get back with me on that. It's either a positive or negative. But in this session, they said, yeah, you can have a good positive or average positive, but I'm trying to get that information before I publish that.
All I would suggest is if we can't get that information from our supplier, is one, we should have a supplier next time. But secondly, is just simply state that we've had testing and been told by our supplier that our numbers are
Way below.
Yeah.
just because it was a concern.
Yeah.
Share the result with the lakes committee and let them investigate.
Yeah. There was another thing that you can buy a kit, a self-test kit for microsystem. It's actually more expensive than sending it away, but I got the names of that too if we ever want to do that.
How much?
$150,
Well, what did it cost us to send them?
$90 per test.
And you self-test,
You can self-test, yeah.
and it's reasonably accurate.
Reasonably accurate, yes. So that's.
And multiple tests you could do yourself.
But
Because it's just like a litmus stick.
so
Yeah.
$150 gets you one test, you can't reuse it.
Right. No, you can't.
Right.
Oh, you can't read
You
it.
can't reuse it. No.
Test strips.
Test strips.
I'm now with you.
Yeah. But it was a really good meeting.
Good. Good, okay. Request for expenditures?
I didn't have anything. I mean, we'll get down to some discussion items here, but I didn't have any definite requests.
Okay. Okay. Moving right along.
Discussion items, basically, we had some things that went down. I was asked about, we had a gate that was hit that was able to straighten another than we couldn't. Was asked about the cost of another aluminum gate. We haven't used that yet. We had planned on saving that for the Boar Hill gate when it's
Middle of winter.
middle of winter.
Yeah, let's start at the top. Let's do the side.
Oh, the side mount, I'm sorry, a side mount, we talked about that this year. It was on this year's depreciation list. We moved it to next year. The problem with that is, it's called the boom mover down here. The cost of that is $36,419 to replace that. That's something we really, and it's on the depreciation list. The guy called me from Motrim, that's who makes them, and said, are you still interested in that? Because he's been bugging me about it. I said, yeah, that's on the depreciation list for next year. He said, well, don't wait too long because that needs to be built.
Is ours still working?
They pieced it together this year. We needed it this year. They were able to buy parts, pieces and parts for it, to keep it together. It really is not gonna last a whole lot.
We used a lot of things, but
Yeah,
we bought what we could.
yeah.
Randy, is it cheaper to rent one for the summer than buy one?
Well, the problem is, if you rent it for the summer, I don't know if you can even do that or not. If you can just rent the boom to fit on the tractor, I don't know if you, I mean,
Rent a
that's,
whole tractor, I mean, you know.
well, it'd probably be cheaper than $36,000.
That's what I'm thinking, you know.
Well, how long do we get out of one?
Yeah.
The tractor's still good. We
Yeah,
can-
tractor's still good.
Tractor.
How long do we get out of a boom?
Oh, that one, we don't have a date.
I meant to print that.
Yeah, we don't have it, well, I've got it here. We don't have a date, it's one that, we've had that one for quite a while, so I don't know how long that's lasted.
The reason it's come up tonight is because the company that actually we have to take our tractor there.
Yeah.
They manufacture the boom and everything to go to the tractor.
Right,
And he's going into his slow period of the year.
right.
And
What's the contract?
if we are
Yeah.
going to have it done, if that's gonna be a priority on the equipment list for next year, and we're actually gonna do it, then we might wanna ship it off here in the winter time, because we don't use that tractor in the winter.
Right, probably got about another 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks of using it, right?
Right.
I mean, if it's gonna take several months and we know we're gonna do it, then I say we get it,
Well, that was the thought.
yeah, we get it ready to go.
With this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
just
I'd
like
like to know the whole breadth of what we're talking about investing this year.
Yeah, that's what,
You know,
we need to know what else.
You bought that tractor to do mowing and ditching, didn't you?
Yes, yes.
So they don't do the ditching with it anymore, do they?
They
Just
do
mow?
not, they do not.
Okay, the other big expenses on next year are a
The fairway mower,
fairway mower,
60 grand.
68, yeah.
Is that one more than, if you got a Jacobson, is it more than the one we bought last year, the rotary? The fairway mower.
What was the price on that? 68. That's for a new one. Also, that's a new one. That's
Well, the rotary was 65 last year.
Right.
Yeah, but we ended up getting a Jacobson versus a John Deere and it ended up
Right.
being 58, so.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to add up your numbers. I mean, you got about 100 grand, 120 to
Oh,
spend
yeah.
tops.
I know.
So you just, if you're gonna do 60 grand, 36, you're at 96.
Right,
You don't have much left.
right.
Which, you know, one of the other things that's on the list is the T-mower, and that's the one that,
Roll down the hill.
is, on the junk pile now.
Yeah.
How much is that?
Wasn't the insurance gonna pay for that one?
I didn't even contact them about that.
Albert thought maybe the insurance company was gonna get some type of.
Wherever,
I
down the
didn't-
hill is.
Okay.
So on number
Are they
3,
insured if something like that happens?
he got off of it.
I'll find out.
The
Okay.
report is he set the brake, went to move the T-blocks, and it took off and went around 6th green and then tumbled down into the woods and,
It's no more.
Right.
yeah, it's not a T-mower, it's a snow mower.
Yeah, and when was it purchased?
T-mower was purchased in 98.
Yeah,
So actually, it was a,
and it was used when we
it
first
was
did
a
it.
greens mower originally, and then it got bad enough where they couldn't do greens with it.
What's the T-mower cost?
This was 30. You got 30 on here.
Yeah.
Well, that obviously sounds like it's a priority since it's junk,
Yeah.
but we need to know what,
Right now, they're using a riding mower to mow the greens,
Which doesn't,
or the tees, I mean.
doesn't do as good a job, but it mows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
so what's your priority out of these things to buy?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're gonna get everything.
Well, I think the boom mower needs replaced. I mean, it's just barely there.
So if you get the boom mower and the T-mower, then what are you gonna have left?
Not very much.
so we don't buy the fairway mower.
Yeah.
We push it off a year.
The mini truck, greens mower, I mean, we talked about buying a greens mower a year. We'd probably get by without that. Salt spreader, we can probably get by without that. Finish mower, I mean, we're keep putting them together. Durban run controller, that'll probably be okay for another year. Zero turn, we'll probably be okay on that. Bremen gate, we just replaced that.
Yeah. Ended up getting.
Security cameras, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Repeater system,
So realistically, we might get another 30 grand on top of the 93.
Yeah.
But so we're probably limited to about 100 grand. So
That's a good number.
I would ask you, Randy, get a good price on a T-mower, and we know the boom mower, and then let's see what we got left. But I don't think you're gonna get your T-mower, your fairway mower, and your side boom.
yeah,
Plus, because you gotta have a contingency left over for.
right.
I'd ask you a question, if you got your side boom mower, like, take it this winter and you're rebuilt, we wouldn't have to spend that much money next year on a new mower, right?
On the boom mower?
On the side boom,
The side mount?
the side boom.
Instead of replacing it, getting a rebuilt.
Yeah, get it refixed. What's cheaper? You know,
Have we looked at that?
That's the boom, right?
That's
Yes.
the boom
Yeah.
mower.
have it fixed.
Well, let's look at that. The other thing I would recommend is that you you know, you and Rick meet almost every morning.
Mhm.
Tomorrow morning, you know, have that list
Yeah,
and say, okay,
You got $100,000.
you got $100,000. And look, what do you think? What's your priorities?
okay,
And we'll go from there.
okay, I can do that.
If it comes back,
Leasing cost too.
excuse me, if it comes back that the guy can't rebuild it, or it can't be rebuilt, and that's the number one priority, then I think we would agree that, you know, to get it done in the wintertime, smart to do, so.
Yeah, sure,
We'll approve
absolutely.
that, but.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's beyond rebuilding, then.
Yeah.
Then we'll have to go that route, but.
We'll see if the guy that builds them
Mhm.
will rebuild it,
Okay, sure,
you know,
I'll look at that.
okay? Good
Just
idea.
drop it off at maintenance.
Well, I was just glad he wasn't just wanting to fly over there.
Yeah. Let's see, the aluminum gate then,
We have one still.
we have
one.
one aluminum gate. We have one gate, that's the aluminum. that
And the
we
one
have.
that got Bennett Bremen, is that one beyond?
We
fixable?
we fixed that one. It was the one up on Shannon Forest
That's
that,
the number needs to be billed for.
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
repair.
ask about that.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that here too.
It's,
Okay.
it's down.
Okay,
So what they're wanting to do is have a second one built?
Well, here's the deal on the aluminum. There was a lot of reasons thrown out for going with aluminum. Paul was still here when we talked about it.
It's ease of changing.
Yeah,
That's the big one, and it's the Durbin Run hill in the wintertime. If that gate gets taken out.
Board Hill.
Board,
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
whatever. The northwest gate.
dark side.
Yeah,
The dark side gate. When that one gets bent up, they have, the regular metal gate, it takes a backhoe and all hands on deck to manually change that out. And if the hill's icy, then they can't do it.
right.
Because of they can't,
Yeah,
the backhoe
the
slide
gate gets
off.
shut down.
So if they had an aluminum gate, they put it in, 2 or 3 guys, they're so much lighter, they can do it with a crew.
Yeah.
Problem is, aluminum needs to be replaced with aluminum.
Right.
Pretty much. So if they put the aluminum gate on there and it gets hit,
A second time. Gotcha. Yeah.
when that aluminum one gets hit, first off, it's not going to probably be repairable.
Doesn't weld, the aluminum doesn't weld.
No, and
It does easy.
yeah,
It doesn't.
it doesn't, so it's gonna need taken off and you're gonna have to put an aluminum on there. So the question is, do we wanna go to the expense now of $3,000 to have a backup aluminum gate? Put that one on there.
Replacement gate.
Ooh, yeah,
Well, we got a little design differential and.
Could they take the bent one off, the steel, and put the aluminum one on in the winter?
Yeah.
Then you're saying then if they hit that one, we don't have
Yes.
it back.
right,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and what we would do
$3,000
is, what we need to do is put the aluminum gate on now, or here pretty shortly. Use the good steel gate as a backup for the other two, for Bremen and the Enchanted Forest. And, the Bremen gate that got dinged up was repairable.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting to get an idea from, Rick, how many hours labor it took to straighten it out, and then that member will be billed for the repairs.
Right.
And so that's the thought process behind it. If we're gonna go aluminum, we kinda need 2.
Agree.
What the steel gates cost?
They were a little bit, they were 20.
Over 2
Yeah, they were about 24 or something like that.
It's a lot heavier.
Yeah, a lot heavier.
So it's not a lot more to go to
No.
aluminum.
No, aluminum wasn't a lot more, and the wear and tear on the gate controller was.
Oh, and I would think that as that stuff gets older, it will be a lot easier for it to move an aluminum gate back and forth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if it goes down in the winter, then they can't.
And the other issue is, the steel, the metal gate, they can walk back there and if it's just bent a little bit, they can just about bend it back to
Right.
get it serviceable in place. Aluminum, they're gonna almost be big throwaway lighters,
Yeah.
almost, which is, that's tough to do with $3,000.
But most of the time they get bent, it's somebody's fault and they pay for it.
If we get video of them doing it, yes.
If we
I would agree with that statement,
Yeah,
most of the time. every once in a while, we get an extenuating circumstance of some sort that, we don't, but most of the time we don't. And sometimes we actually get paid.
We had several people that just say, well, just leave Bora Hill open, and it's your fault if you got it closed and I hit it.
Yeah.
When the weather gets bad.
Right.
We've had that question.
But then that creates the security question, you know, we're not gonna leave the gates open.
Right.
Right.
We've already been down that road, so. Do we want them to go ahead and order another gate so that we've got one, so that we can put the aluminum gate on there ahead of time?
I'd say yes.
Yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for real.
It hurts to spend money.
Whole point of it.
I swear to God, we gotta get a fly strip.
Got one right back there.
Is there any option to redesign where that gate opens? I mean, can we move that?
We've had that discussion.
Never, okay.
Well, we're talking about moving it up the hill, but we don't own that land, and there's no real room to move it.
At the
back.
very top of the hill, we do not own that,
Okay.
but we own it all the way down.
Yeah,
I would think you'd move it more towards where it flattens out somewhere. There's kind of the pull-off area now before you get to the other road. Just thought people could maybe get to a stop there, coming down that hill. Sometimes it's not even the ice, it's after they do the grits to melt the ice, and the ice melts, and it's very slippery.
Eric, we've talked about it a lot with the whole idea of changing the RFID and going to a child gate and stuff like that. But, you know, those all cost a lot more than $3,000. So,
Okay.
I mean, we could, you know, you're right.
We talked
Well,
about trying
that's-
to move it back.
that's a good point. Let's,
Never come up with a good solution.
yeah, what we'll do is, you know, Rick and some of us will look at it as a project for in the spring or something if we, you know, think it can be moved, but that's also gonna involve moving the electric and the
Post office.
Wi-Fi and everything else.
The post office box is in the way too.
Yeah, they
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so that, it wouldn't be a $5 fix, but
I don't even
it's
know how
something to
much
look at,
gate-
because that is, that,
That gate gets hit more.
it creates a bad, I wouldn't wanna be coming down that hill on the ice.
Yeah, I just don't go there.
What our policy is security goes, opens that gate till maintenance can get here and salt that to try to help people stop, and then they put it back in operation. But they are supposed to go open that gate till maintenance can get here on an icy day.
And maintenance, first thing they salt and scrape is that area, so that we can put the gate back in service for security reasons. But
People really fly down that hill though, I must admit.
yeah, we've got some security tape video of people who swore they were just creeping down the hill. Well, their definition of creeping is different than ours, so they were flying.
You know, I guess I was, if you're coming down and right about where the gate's at, you then turn it to the left. That way, so if you're coming down the hill, I think there's room to say, okay, let's turn to the left and put the gate over there. People would have to slow down to get to that curve to go open the gate.
And if they slide, they just slide off into the ditch.
They slide off into, we put in a guardrail or whatever the case may be, but it's your responsibility. You're gonna use that hill to come down there.
So open the gate the other direction.
No, well, I'm saying, is, so
Turn.
come down the hill and then come left. I think we've got room there. Put our gate here where it's flat, okay?
Yeah.
I know it's not gonna happen this year, but it's just,
The other thing is the bus turns around right there.
School bus.
Well, there's still be a big, that area where the gate is right at the moment. If we move the gate down, that area would still be there for the bus to turn around.
sure.
Oh, you're
I
talking
don't
about
think the
moving
bus,
it down.
I don't think the bus comes down there anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I just saw a bunch of
Well,
kids.
okay.
You get on the bus.
Well, I know that some
Some
of
of them
them,
there.
some of them have to go all the way out to, what is that, West Point?
Oh,
There at the stop sign.
These
Parents
kids
have
were
to
walking.
take some of the kids out there.
These kids were walking and or golf cart.
Yeah.
I saw 2 or
I
3
wouldn't
kids
want
walking.
to take a bus, a long bus down that hillside.
No, neither would I.
Well, I know,
But people really fly down that. I'm
John and
appalled.
Robbie Snoke have to take Esther, well, this year they don't, because she's got a whole different deal going on, but the last few years, they had to take her out, and he sat there at the stop sign where Bora Hill hits West Point or whatever, and the bus turned around there at that stop.
I was thinking about that. Ag person, can be our welder.
Yes.
Hey Jim, while you're discussing gates, have you guys brought up the idea of changing the codes in the opener? I had a member approach me to that 2 days ago and asked about that.
Did I come talk to you?
Is it on the
Yeah,
thing?
Yeah, it doesn't say changing, it doesn't say changing.
It says
the
gates
codes,
open.
But we've had discussion about it before, and we weren't sure how much gain there'd really be for the headache of going through all the administrative part of getting them all changed. But we're gonna discuss it because we don't have the money to do RFID, and it's kinda like, I don't wanna preempt this, but let's try it and see what we gain. Because there'll be a whole bunch of openers out there that won't work anymore.
We can call it the Martin plan.
There you go.
I was on the security committee probably 25 years ago, and we tried to bring the idea up to management then, and it went nowhere.
Well, it can be there, it's just.
Why?
I don't know why, it's hard to remember I think that committee was, people got on that committee for a variety of different self-serving reasons, and that whole committee kind of fell apart because of that reason, but, I don't know why they decided not to do it.
Well, would be, speaking on it, because we have talked about this several times in the past, when we were here before, when I was sitting to the left. It's not hard to do.
Yeah, it's a headache, but it doesn't
got-
cost anything.
You either got 4 to 6 dip switches, you just have to reprogram them. If you know how to do that, and somebody puts it on Facebook and says this is the new dip switch, then everybody who's got
All
one,
500 and more.
Well,
but it'll get rid of a lot of people who don't know how to do it.
well, and also get rid of the one, well, I don't know. I don't know that we put it out on
Yeah,
Facebook. I think it'd be.
I'm not saying we do.
Oh, I see what you're saying, somebody's like,
Nobody's gonna go, oh, you want.
well, that'd be dumb to do that. That'd be
Yes.
cutting off your nose to spite your face.
I'm just.
Well, this particular member is a back gate person, and they are really familiar with RFID in their job that they had
Sure.
researching it. And their problem is more with RFID and how they're not, you can't change it to a different vehicle like you can an opener, and that if you go and get your car serviced and you get a rental or whatever, you can't get in the back gate. And that was more of his deal, and he said, I'll volunteer to sit at the gate certain times and fix people's openers for them if they have a membership card, and I thought it was a good idea.
If you go to the RFID though, you can immediately, as soon as you have a change, you can make that change, wherever you're at. You could do it at the security gate in real time, because everything's connected by the internet. So that does give you that ability. And you can take people off. Originally, when we thought about this 10 years ago, this is probably the first project I ever worked on before I was even on management. And at that point, we were gonna have the security go around and actually go to the various gates and make changes. Now we have all of them connected, so you do have that ability. But you can it's even worked with people coming in the back gate and going to the lodge. They were able to make contact. So you can do that. There's no question. You could make that change, people could do it.
We'll have some more discussion about it here. That's the last thing on here. But
Sorry.
I'm glad you brought it up. Now I don't have to bring it up as the last thing. Gate damage. Well, we're done with the aluminum gate. Yeah. Okay. Gate damage. We've had 2 get damaged very recently. One's repairable, and it's obvious that was a situation where the member hit the gate, and actually it wasn't a member, it was somebody authorized by the member.
Yeah.
And
Family guest.
and that one, I think part of what the question coming up is, and we had this discussion when Paul was on here, and I didn't go back through my notes, but I think there was some people pushing for the member has to pay for a total gate replacement when it gets bent. I'm not sure I'm on that side. If it's repairable for a couple hours worth of time from maintenance, then I think we ought to come up with a figure to reimburse us for maintenance.
Reimburse the cost for the cost.
I think that's actually written in the code, actually, is the rule. So there's full cost recovery if you damage it.
Oh, okay.
Well, the thought before was if you hit it, we would charge you the full price.
If you had to replace it, it's gonna be appropriate.
If it's just minor damage, you can fix it. Now, if you hit it hard enough that you ruin it, Then you're probably holding the gate.
Absolutely. No, I think.
Yeah, we even know exactly what the controllers cost now, since we just replaced one. Hit it dead square when it's closed and take out the whole thing and
Ooh,
get your checkbook out.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll go forward with that. All right. Any other questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, camera system. That's you.
I've had, well, Dan, for instance, he and I talked about the camera system a little bit, about looking at upgrades because the audio is so bad, to see if there's anything out there that we can hear a little bit better on these inside cameras. At this point, I'd really like to be able to do that. I have no idea how much it would cost to upgrade our inside cameras, but it'd just be nice if you could have something that could filter out some of the background noise and actually hear what's being said to some of our employees, because sometimes it's tough. You get a he said, she said situation, and that's the reason we purchased these cameras, was to be able to not only protect our members, but protect our staff. And so, I mean, I think our exterior cameras are okay. It's the interior cameras that I'd like to look at upgrading if possible.
Well, without committing any budget, because you know what that's gonna be like, why don't you go ahead and start doing some investigating into it?
Yeah. Okay.
Come back to us the next meeting or sometime in October with, you know, this is what's available and this is what it would cost. And then if it's something we want to look at a few of them, then we'll just pick and choose where we put the upgrades.
Yeah, they're probably just two. Probably just two, possibly three. And that's the two upstairs and the one in the club. Because of the one in the office, there's no background noise. The one in the guard shack, there's really no background noise.
Well, you're right, there's three.
Three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See what kind of an upgrade.
Okay. This next item, Rick came to me, it's about culvert replacements, members culvert replacements. When the culvert thing came up years ago, we were installing culverts for new properties, new builds, new driveways. Now we're doing replacements, and it's taking a lot of time. We basically asked the member to purchase the culvert. We supply the labor at no cost, and they pay for any little bit of gravel. Usually it's from 1 ton up to 8. We put a big one in for a guy over on Milton Court, and we had to use 8 ton of gravel, which we charge him for. 8 ton of gravel cost about $148 or something there to that effect. But all our labor is free. We're having a lot of these. We're just taking a lot of labor hours to replace culverts, member culverts. And we have refused at least one because we couldn't do it because of the equipment. We've got another one that is close to being refused because it's as deep as it is. So I just kind of want your folks' input a little bit, if maybe we should start charging labor dollars for this, or refusing this, or how you want to handle it.
How many have you done? Give me an estimate.
We probably do 15 or 20 a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that replacement ones or just?
Replacement ones. Yeah, replacement ones.
And it's been a.
How big is it? 10?
Pardon me?
How big?
24, 18 to 24.
Oh, well, it just depends. We've done as small as 12 up to 24, 36s. The one we did over on Mohegan Court, that was a 24-foot culvert. And some of them take 2 sections. So that's 40 feet.
40 feet?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, depending on the situation.
I mean, this is a pretty big project.
It is a big problem.
How many hours on average you think you're spending?
Man hours, it probably takes I mean, you're gonna have a guy on a backhoe, you're gonna have a guy in a dump truck or two, so you're probably talking 15 man hours.
Plus equipment.
How much, pardon me, I just don't know. Is there anything else that we do like this?
Not really, not really.
Well, I think the reason we've always done it was, it's a good reason. It was because Rick made sure it was done right,
Correct.
didn't
Correct.
inhibit drainage, and
Yeah.
we don't cause more problems, and ruin our own roads because somebody put too small culvert, or they didn't set it properly.
And
I get the reason, I was just trying to come up with a flat figure in my head.
Right, now, if there, I mean, there's people that are having work done on their driveway, and they'll ask if, you know, if we wanna do it, or if their contractor can do it. We say, yeah, go for it, as long as it's put in right, and most contractors know what they're doing. And so, yeah, we let them do that.
Is there a permit for culvert replacement?
No.
Or like, so really that, we don't have any way to go check that they're putting in, replacing it with the right size?
Just Rick.
culvert?
Right.
Rick, but
Well, we'll recommend a size every time.
Well, sure, if they ask you, but
Yeah.
if there's no permit, procedure, if you're putting a new driveway in, there's a permit.
Right,
But if it's an existing driveway and you dig a 24 out and you put a 12-incher in there, and it clogs up.
pretty much most of the time they'll ask us. We haven't had too many that I know of that were put in without them contacting us first.
Could we come up with a price, say $500 for a 12-inch, $750 for,
The size doesn't really matter.
well, it's
You
gonna
still
determine
gotta-
how much labor and stone you're gonna put in.
Well, I mean,
Like,
yeah,
well, like, just say, 20-foot, 12 inch is gonna cost you $500 in labor plus the cost of materials. I don't know what the right number is, but, a 36 is obviously gonna cost you a lot more because you got a lot more hauling.
yeah, a lot more to do.
That's what we say, they have to do it.
What?
Well,
I would be in favor of just letting the homeowner take care of it. Why does the Hills have to
Well,
take care of putting,
well,
replacing
that's the point.
culverts?
That's why I brought this up.
we got
That's the point.
into a
I agree.
situation,
I agree.
we got into a situation back here because it's been a courtesy for so many years
Yeah.
that we did it, that, there's one that's way deep and.
And we couldn't do that.
We couldn't, Rick, we'd have to go rent equipment. And the member said, then go rent equipment, because you have to do this. And no, we don't, but, I mean.
If they're not being courteous, we don't have to be courteous. I would say
It
no.
created bad blood and, so, what do you think?
I say get out of the business. Let them put their own in.
That's probably the right answer. I don't know if we're gonna come up with a standard labor fee
No.
that
Yeah.
makes any sense, so.
I mean, there's all
But I
different
think-
situations.
But I think there's one thing he brought up. I think there should be a approval
Mhm.
so that we don't have people going cheap and putting a 12-inch in. When a year or so ago, we were actually discussing trying to make sure people were going at least.
It just depends, it just depends.
Well, because we wanted to flow through the ditches.
Correct.
We wanted them to
Yeah.
go even a little bit
It
bigger.
depends on the location, what size of the ditch there is,
Yeah.
and that type of
So I
thing.
think that they need to come get you or Rick to look at it and approve.
And we do, that's what we do.
And I have
Do we
no
do
problem.
that with a permit?
Culvert replacement permit?
Would mean changing the building code, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Let's just try to say, hey, you gotta,
You gotta have,
Site
our manager or Rick's approval for, but I like the idea of getting out of it.
I do too.
You all right with that? Dave?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. That was my initial reaction to it.
Is it possible that there's an emergency type of situation though, that we need to, something's failing and we need to do something and the owner says, I'm not gonna go and deal with it?
we could do it and charge them,
Well, here's
assess them. for it.
here's the thing that we have run into, Eric, and that's a good point, is a culvert getting plugged. For instance, that one big one down here, a culvert getting plugged and it runs around it onto the roads and
Right?
washes out our roads. So that's a good point, that there is a possibility we could do that on an emergency basis.
And the driveway culvert being plugged isn't technically our problem, it's
Right.
the member's problem.
Right.
But if they're in Florida for the winter or something like that, then gotta be taken care of.
Maybe we need to put something behind that part of it too, is that if we have to do the repair, an emergency repair, it's at your expense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But doing that and doing anything, trying to say something like that would involve changing, adding code or law. If we just say we're gonna quit doing the freebie work that we've been doing, that doesn't involve an approval above us. That's just said and done.
Okay.
And if we do it in an e-blast or some such that, by the way, going forward, contact, like you do for taking down a tree, contact the general manager for culvert repair and get his sign off on it, and there we go. I don't think that needs to be in the code, does it?
I wouldn't think so.
So,
Okay.
we got 3 board members sitting here. Does anybody got a problem with this?
And if it's plugged, we can just remove it. We don't have to put a new one in.
That'd be surprising. You better have a 4-wheel drive.
I hope it wasn't a 36.
Know that we want to solve problems we haven't had.
Yeah. All right, well, we agree to get out of business,
Yeah, gotcha.
and I think Rick will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, he will. Takes a lot of time and a lot of planning
Well, it
and
also,
a lot of headache.
yeah, it also gets him into some confrontational situations like the big one.
Yeah.
Okay. Gate openers.
What's this about?
I don't know. There must have been something in the water or something for a couple of us to come up with the same thing, but I was thinking we can't, we don't have the funding to do the RFID. We need to do something. If we change the codes on all the garage door openers for the back gates, it'll be a fun day or two for everybody to get their openers changed and then go home and program their vehicles or whatever. But, and I'm not gonna pick a percentage out, we got a whole lot of openers out there that we don't know where they are.
Right.
And they're not in vehicles they're supposed to be in, and they're in unauthorized vehicles. And if we do this, some of those are just, that person's gonna pull up to the back gate, not be able to get in anymore, not really have a contact. They're liable to go home and throw the thing in the trash. So I think we'll have some of the ones that we don't want coming in won't be able to come in anymore.
I think so too. But we got some signage that we can put at the back gates that say, hey, the code's been changed. If you're a member, code of security or whatever the procedure will be to change it, and they will change your code.
Well, Randy and I were talking about it, and he said that he thought there was a procedure kind of written once, or thought about anyways, and part of it was to buy a supply. The number he threw out was
Which we do.
50 of the gate openers, and have them set to the new code, so that Monday morning or Friday morning or whatever,
Not Monday morning.
no, not Monday morning, whatever day of the week, you could literally have people walk in and
Saturday.
turn one in and get one.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, just like that. You wouldn't have to have somebody sitting here changing them. You would once you went through the first 50.
Well, you could, not to, sorry to interrupt you, but we could have people bring those 50 in, we could program them then, and other people could come in, and we'd have them ready for them also.
Yeah.
But to have at least 50 ready for when they come in, then the ones they bring in, then we could reprogram.
Is it possible that the operating system could receive 2 different codes? So there could be a time period that they change over?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know
I'm
how,
pretty
it's old technology, I think.
Well, now, I may be wrong,
Possible.
because I think, because the Bremen post office has one, I think theirs is programmed differently, which means, all that means is we have 2 receivers back there.
No, just see, we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
That's
good-
something
If
we
you
need
had
to look
2
into.
codes, then you can set a date, you gotta have this changed by this
Yeah.
date, and by after this date.
Yeah. Because otherwise it'd be just a nightmare for everybody coming in the same
And I'm
day.
not, if we go to the point of having them exchange them at security, part of what we're trying to do is eliminate the ones that aren't supposed to be out there.
Right.
So if you walk in security with a garage door opener, you need to have your membership card with you.
Well, we also track them through our database system.
Well, so they'd have to take your member number and your new,
Yeah. Code, your
yeah,
gate opener.
because we don't want some of the people that we don't want having the openers walking in exchanging for new ones, and, because we didn't eliminate the
You want
problem.
to bring your membership.
Right.
Have
Yeah.
your membership card.
Yeah,
You want them to prove that they're a member, and that
Absolutely.
they prove they purchased one.
Yeah,
oh, they got one, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, there's been a rumor that quite a bit have been theft out of cars.
oh, sure.
So
Oh, well, yeah, we could check in the database, yeah.
check the database to make sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess,
What, are you gonna target a date to do this? Because you're gonna need to publish it.
Right.
well, we're gonna need to sit down and put together the process real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be back, for Monday, so Monday or Tuesday of next week, we can sit down and start line listing it out, what's gonna have to be done.
How many, do you already have the 50 in your possession?
We just ordered some here about probably a month ago, so we probably have maybe 25 left.
Well, all I was gonna suggest is maybe enough people that don't use them regularly could donate theirs for a period of time, so you could use those. Like I will give you mine,
Instead of buying more.
instead of buying more.
Buying more.
You know, you might get your count up to 75 or, you know, something like that, that way. You know, ask the volunteer.
Or we just go with the 25 we got and have somebody, you know, like he said, he volunteered to sit at the gate and help change them. I'd volunteer to sit in here.
Well, I didn't actually say I would volunteer. I didn't actually say that. I said that the member that approached me said,
What did he say?
you can look, check it
Actually, I back what he said.
But I would be happy
The whole
to
thing
say
is just called the Martin, it's the Martin plan.
Well,
I already got rules because of me.
It's the Martin, well, this is.
Jim, you all right with this?
Yep, fine.
I think we need to go through the process and do it.
I think so. Dan, you okay with it?
I want one with a new battery. Just throw it out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're gonna hear some, you know, there's gonna be, you're gonna have the ones that are out of town, the weekenders that.
Whether you do it over the winter, we're gonna have the Florida people are going back.
So we'll sign at the back gate and say, hey, go to
Not gonna happen
security.
without-
I know.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
think we published enough times, people
I
should
think
get
so,
the
too.
idea that when you get back, you gotta.
I think what you're gonna have to purchase is some batteries, because I'm gonna turn mine in and then I'm gonna be going, hey, my battery was good when I took it in, now I got one it's dead.
What is it, AAA?
They're 9 volts.
Oh, little bricks.
Okay, all right.
They're really old.
It's old school tech.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I've got several other things here.
Well, why aren't you?
Because we
They came up since.
since I,
Okay. Next.
Sugar Grove Post Office.
Oh, yeah, update everybody.
Had a discussion with them today. They are going to put a letter together and put in members' mailboxes down front for Sugar Grove Post Offices about two things. Members will have to, if packages won't fit in their mailbox or one of the lockers, they will put a slip in the mailbox that the member will have to go to the post office to pick up their package. That's just exactly the way they do it, the Bremen end of it. Also, the postmaster said that the carrier is actually supposed to be putting the mail in the mailboxes in private. And so we're going to be locking that door down there as soon as we get a deadbolt for that. And that, I think that e-blast went out today, this afternoon, about that. Up here at the Bremen Post Office, they got a back door they can go in, so they're secure. Down front, they don't. I was in there yesterday, as a matter of fact, talking to the carrier, and all those boxes are open. Anybody could walk in there and take anybody else's mail, and that's really not allowed. So, so that we're going to be doing that as soon as we get a lock on there.
That guy follows all the rules.
Well, no, they realize the issue about the packages, they understand the situation, they realize they're not doing things right down there.
Can I ask a question though? Our package, I've seen in his possession packages that I believe were addressed to what I consider the front gate. How is that happening? Because if I have a package addressed to that and I have to go to Bremen or to Sugar Grove, that's the first thing I'll be asking them.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I thought was supposed to be happening.
Right.
So, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You're saying if it's addressed to the front, 29042,
Yeah,
it shouldn't go back to Sugar Grove.
Right. right. It shouldn't be in that room whatsoever,
In which room?
in the mail room.
It's not addressed.
And I have
Correct.
seen the packages in there addressed that way.
Correct.
So I'm just trying to be preemptive here.
They realize that there's problems. They're making an attempt to fix these problems.
Okay, but I mean, okay. FedEx packages being in there, I just don't get it, how they.
Well,
how that's happening.
I asked them about that also, because FedEx and UPS are dropping packages off at the post office. I asked them, why are they doing that? And they said, they don't know why they're doing that. They have no idea. What determines what goes to the post office and what comes to us?
They just need to refuse them.
Well,
FedEx
I don't
doesn't
know.
do that.
FedEx, they're posting it,
Yeah,
and it goes
yeah.
to the Columbus hub to smart post. They don't just drop them off the ramp.
Yeah, no,
They need to refuse those. and
those two
FedEx needs to
places are as
Yeah.
professional as you can come.
Well, the other piece is, he's following up again, because this lady's fallen off the end of the earth, with the lady that's supposed to be getting us another bank of the lockers.
And I talked to her today.
Did you?
Yeah, I talked to her today.
Amazing.
And she told me the same thing she told me last time. Yeah, we're getting them together. We need to get them out of here. We need the room. It's just, and they have to key them to a post office key system. But it hasn't moved since I talked to her a month ago. I mean, it's one of those
Is
kind
there
of,
somebody above her?
I don't know. I was given her name by the Bremen postmaster.
Well,
And he's retired now. I mean, I said, you know, our season is getting really busy here shortly. We really need those. And she says, I know, I'm trying to get them out of here too. She went as far as say, how many do you want? And I said, no.
I'll take that.
That's what she's gonna do. She's gonna send me a picture and dimensions. I said, how many lockers are in one? Because she said they're about 6 feet tall and about 2.5 feet wide. I said, how many containers are in each one? And she said, well, they're different sizes. She's gonna send me pictures. She said she's gonna send me pictures or email me pictures. So we'll see how that goes.
Even if they're 6 feet tall and a couple feet wide, there's still room for one whole bank on that one wall.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that will help, but my only point is, I see packages in there that don't seem to be addressed there,
In the mailroom.
in the mailroom.
Yeah.
I'll look again.
Well, I'm
When
not.
I saw FedEx packages there, I looked at the address,
Mhm.
because that surprised me.
Yeah.
And,
Were they just loose in there?
why we're just sitting, the guy was in there,
Oh, okay.
and how did he become in possession of FedEx?
They drop them off at the post office. I just said that. Yeah,
uh,
they do. FedEx, UPS, both of them.
That's amazing.
I've heard of these, people, we're getting packages delivered inside the hills to people's property from Amazon.
Amazon, yeah, they're
Well,
not doing that
there's been a
anymore.
few instances where they sit at a back gate and then tailgate in.
That's what the guy that was telling me about the, changing the openers, the member that approached me about that.
Well, we got one better than that. I'll leave all names out of this, since we're live. We had an ex-Amazon driver back up to the Enchanted Forest gate, get out, take packages out of his vehicle, and play three-point shot over the gate,
Yeah.
onto the road,
Yeah,
then goes into his little ticker thing and says delivered and drives away. A member pulled up and saw it, reported it to the front security guys. The security guys went and picked the packages up and took the video and sent it to Amazon, and that guy was probably terminated before he got back to the terminal.
Yeah. I'll guarantee you.
Wow, you know, there's some professionalism on our part.
No, but I mean, those companies won't stand for
I know.
that kind of thing.
I know.
They just won't stand for it.
No, well, and Amazon is trying to, you know, make their own delivery system work. They're not gonna stand for it at all, so.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
I do know FedEx really well, and they won't either.
No.
If they get a driver like that, they'll terminate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And those are third-party guys too. They're not all Browns for sure, I believe, are owner-operators.
Okay.
And they're on contract, but they're not employees.
The FedEx guys.
No,
UPS?
UPS, I believe.
I thought they were all union.
I thought they were all union.
There's, I believe that the drivers were,
Okay.
that have the trucks for local delivery. Over the road, yes, but local
Okay.
delivery are different. At least they were 10 years ago.
Well, we're working on trying to fix the front gate mail system, let's put it that way.
Right.
What's next?
Right. Clubhouse generator pigtail was installed today. Apparently, Claypool hasn't been very nice about this whole situation. And so, John Jones has contacted another company to come in and give us a price on, installing a whole house generator for the clubhouse and putting in the transfer switch and do it like it's supposed to be done. It will work now. We can use it now, you know.
Without extension?
Without extension cords. The guy went through that with Rick and showed him how to do that. So we can do that now, for temporary. But I guess the guy's supposed to be in, I don't know if it's this Thursday or next Thursday, to give us a price on a whole house generator down there.
Yeah, well, where's that gonna?
Yeah, I don't know.
As it stands right now, I was down there when Rick was getting ready to give it to the Claypool guy. The pigtail they put in, will work.
Right.
It probably won't handle, that new freezer, takes a whole, probably pulls more amps than the old one did, so they might not be able to put everything on there that they need on there with the existing generator. So they're probably going to come back to us with, we need a bigger generator anyway, so we'll look at all the options, but.
Could another gas generator be put in?
A bigger one. You can only hook one up.
Gotcha.
And where he's got the pigtail now, because they wanted to put the pigtail out there where you'd have to haul the generator out and halfway up the hill into the dirt to hook it up. It's now down between the two garage doors down underneath the deck. And so they can store the generator right inside, all they gotta do is, but the existing generator, I don't know if it's gonna be able to handle the load.
Gotcha.
If we have to, you know, if the power goes out tonight, they'll at least be able to power most of the stuff.
Gotcha.
With the extension cords, they ran into a problem, the big cooler with the glass doors on the front of it. Two guys couldn't move that thing to get to the cord to try to plug it in, so that one warmed up all day. So.
That's the pop and the water.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Heavy liquids, I would guess.
Yeah.
There, we at least have a short-term fix in place.
Right.
And Claypool got way sideways ugly with Chris, when Chris called her.
Yeah.
Called in. They were supposed to be here, I don't know all the details exactly, they were supposed to be here, let's say last Thursday or something. She called and said, hey, you know, what's going on? And this guy jumped through the phone at her, and she told me, she goes, I just finally said, I don't need to listen to this. Thank you, I'm hanging up.
I'd like to know who that was.
Well, ask her, maybe she knows.
She may not know. I got one last thing, the spillway liners for Arrowhead and Tomahawk will be installed next week. Probably starting Tuesday.
Is Arrowhead down?
Oh, yeah, it's way down.
Yeah, it's,
Way down. Probably down farther than it needs to be.
I don't know, one of the houses across from Sue that has kids or grandkids that come in, they were out there yesterday walking across.
Yeah, I would have said Sue to their, across, you could walk.
Well, I talked to Sue and I said, you're gonna go out there and sunbathe on your new beach? She didn't think that was funny. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Okay. I'm making a note on this.
We adjourned.
You got anything?
Just, the roundup issue that we talked about at the last board meeting, has any more research been done or have you been approached by anybody with any? According, some of the stuff that I've looked at says we can't have one guy that's licensed to spray it and then somebody else can spray it. They have to be under their direct supervision. And there's other, I haven't researched all of it yet, but I just wondered.
Well, 2 points on it. One, your information's wrong, because I've got some material that says that the person, actually we have 2 people with permits, by the way. The person under the permitted person has to be within 2 miles or 2 hours worth of, it's very vague on supervising. They don't have to be standing there watching. I think I can bring it up.
No, I just read it off of the Ohio agricultural website, and it said they had to be under the direct supervision.
Well, sorry, but
All pesticide applications made by the applicator and by any trained service person acting under the applicator's direct supervision, as required by Rule Division C of Section 921.16 of the revised code. And then each commercial applicator shall submit copies of the records required under division. So do we have records of where we've sprayed the stuff? According to the material that I've read, we have to have records, and we have to keep it for 3 years of where we've sprayed it.
Well,
okay. I don't believe we have records.
no, we don't.
I'm trying to find it here because the direct supervision is they do not have to be standing right over them. I can't.
Well, I guess direct supervision is kind of in itself a little bit vague.
Well, they do not have to be watching over them. I've had conversation with Rick, who is one of the people that has a permit, and going forward, the 2 areas that we're probably going to continue to use that product on, Rick himself is going to do the application. It would be the old baseball diamond and the boneyard across the road. And he said he would feel more comfortable in the future so that everybody's sure that we're following the rules. Instead of being the direct supervisor, he'll just do it himself. We are going to, when Steve gets back, confirm that the permit he has authorizes that. We're about 90% sure that it does. And if it does, then in the future, like next year, when we need to apply those 2 places, Rick will do it himself.
Well, we'll do some more research, but I think you have to have, there's a lot of stuff that you have to be doing that I don't think we're doing. I mean, I think it's better to have the guy that's licensed doing it than a volunteer doing it, that's for sure. I mean,
Well,
the licenses are hard to obtain. I mean, you gotta do the classwork, you have to do continuing education, and you have to.
And Elmer and Rick have both done
Right.
that. And Rick is requesting, if going forward, that we have at least one other person, and we're perfectly willing to send somebody off to it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Employees can be trained by reading a trained service person manual, OSU Bulletin 863, or equivalent training from the employer. And then down below it says a licensed applicator must be within 25 miles or available within 2 hours when a pesticide application is being made by the trained service person.
Yeah, that's the supervision deadline or outline, which is extreme. In other words, you could be having lunch at Planks on High Street and you're supervising somebody down here as long as you can be here within 2 hours.
But the point is well taken. We need to make sure that the people who are applying it and are licensed applicants.
Well, it's very difficult to understand, I mean, these rules, I mean, I've been looking at it for a week and it goes round and round. That's why I only took stuff off of like, OSU website and the Ohio Department of Agriculture website.
Right.
But it's like trying to read our code of regulations at subsection
Well, I
C.
think, to your point, the permits are from the Ohio Department of Agriculture. They're not EPA permits. And that's where we need to get our guidelines and directions from. So that's what we're gonna do. We wanna check with Steve and make sure that the direction and the stuff that he's talking to us about is coming from the same place. And then we'll make sure that we don't use an overzealous volunteer.
Yes.
I know right there where the boats are at the ball field, it's awful close to that water, that pond that's there that goes on into the swamp. I mean, it's probably not much more than the distance for this room. I don't know what the rules are on that. I was trying to find that, but I couldn't find it.
All right, well, we'll look into it. Anything else?
That's all I have.
We're done. Shutter's in.